Hi everybody, this is episode 8 of the Applique Basics tutorial I was doing where we are making this heart wreath. It's the final episode. We're going to attach the bow today. However, in the future, sometime soon, I'll have some bonus episodes where I'll explain other, even more, ways you can prepare your patches for applique. All right, here's how far I got so far. I got the inner reverse applique done of the bow. Though I have to say, I'm going to confess, I'm not sure I like the fabric choice I made here. It's, to me, not standing out as much as the original, like here, the dark. But I'm still holding hope that I'll end up liking it once it's all properly put together. I also, and I should have mentioned this last time, but it's not that big a deal, when you're preparing these two upper ribbon patches, you don't need to tuck under or do that to that straight edge, because that's going to tuck under the bow, so it'll be hidden there. And it's actually better if you don't tuck it under, because you remove some of the bulk. I should have said that last time. If you do the basting, just take the few basting stitches out. If you did it starch method or freezer paper, you can just iron that flat. And if you did needle turn, you haven't done it yet, so it's all good. All right, that's that. Now today we're also going to cover what I call puffy applique, and basically what that is, I take a thin piece of batting and I put it behind the applique patch, and it makes it a little more 3D, and I'll bring back that original one in and you'll see it. We're going to use it today for the knot of the bow. And so we've got the reverse applique bringing the dark part back, and we have the knot with the puffy applique bringing it forward. So it's a way of making a bit of dimension in your applique. All right. So let me just remove some of the stuff for now. We aren't quite finished preparing the bow. I had mentioned just do it this far. What I have to share now is what we're going to do is trim close to where we stitched away the fabric, so that because when we go to put the bow back, the seam allowance, we don't need the extra fabric there. But you don't want to cut too close either. So try and give yourself at least 1/8 of an inch. But you don't have to worry about, it's already sewn. So all you have to do is just trim away the excess. Carefully though, because you don't want to cut into the bottom part of the fabric, and that would be cutting your bow. There, like that. So then when I go to prepare the outer part of the bow, I don't have any of the bulk from that reverse applique interfering. Now, another thing when preparing your bow for getting it ready, just so that it's similar to the hearts, you have to do a bit of clipping. But because this part of the bow is going to be under the knot, you aren't going to be too fussed about how this is, but because you need to turn under these sections here, you do have to clip. So I'm just going to clip into where the angle changes, just right to the seam line, not over, like so, and do that over here as well. Okay. And I won't do this all on camera, but, you know, basically, like before, I'm going to baste back the seam allowance. So it'll be ready when I applique it to the hearts. Just like that. I'm going to do all the way around and prepare that. As I said, not on camera. Okay, next. We're going to prepare the knot. Now, as with the other patches, you trace around the knot template onto your fabric with chalk pencil, and you cut it out, leaving more than 1/8 of an inch. Do this generously because it has to go around that batting as well. And there's no real good reason to not have it be a good size because there's going to be nothing interfering with it. And I did the same thing. I traced with a pen onto the batting with my template. Now in this case, you're going to cut just inside the line you drew so that it's just slightly smaller than the fabric version. Which is why I don't mind using pen when I do this, because I'm cutting away the pen. I'm not a fan of using pen on my quilts in general to mark anything. There. Okay, I'm back. Now I'm going to take the little batting shape and put it and pin it behind the fabric. Just going to hold it up to the light to make sure I've got it where I want it. And then just temporarily pin it in place. And then, as before, I'm going to turn the seam allowance to the back, over the batting, and go through the 3 layers and just baste it in place. And even if you use the other methods of preparing your patches, I suggest you use this method of basting it for this particular element. It just makes the whole job so much easier and neater. There. Now we're going to add the elements of the bow to the background block. We're going to center the bow on our center line, and we're going to approximately, and this doesn't have to be exact, as long as it looks pretty good, 3/4 of an inch from there to there and 3/4 of an inch from there to there, approximately. Yeah, that's about right. And if you really want to be extra exact, not that you have to, this is also helpful to fold the bow in half, and then you got the line you can match up with that one and that one. Double check my 3/4 again. Oh, that's a little high. Okay. Now I'm going to pin that right there. You can also check that it's looking balanced. Now, we're also then going to pin the knot right in the middle of your bow, like so-ish. And let's also, let me get some more pins over here. I'm going to start pinning these in place as well. Now these get put in pretty close to maybe 1/8 of an inch from where the knot is, and you aiming it down like approximately so. Let that straight line guide, oops, I didn't do that. Let that straight line guide you, because where that line is, the edge of the bow should come. I also just cover the tip of that as I'm aiming, of the bottom of that heart. Okay, and then for the bottom pieces, tip to point, and it overcomes into this heart. Again, covering up that bottom edge, bottom point, I should say. Now, the next thing to do is to baste all of those in place, and then beginning with the pieces that are on the very bottom, which is this particular part of the ribbon, do your blind stitching around, and then you can blind stitch around the outer edge of the bow, and then blind stitch around the knot, and blind stitch around the bottom of the ribbon. Now, I'm not going to do any of that on camera. You've seen me do that. If you want to see that done because this is your first video, you can go back into the other videos and see me do the blind stitching and the basting. And when I'm done, I'll come back. Okay, I'm back, and the heart is complete with the bow, and I even did a pressing. Okay, so here's some extra things that I can tell you. When you're matching these 2 points up, I found it easiest to start blind stitching the bottom pieces right here at the point, going up and over, so that you were making sure 100% that the 2 points were touching. If I had started elsewhere and it pulled, there might have been a bit of a gap. So there's that. And I also want to say that I've changed my mind. I think using the gingham was very nice. I think this is a very sweet version of this heart wreath. All right, now for pressing, you want to keep your applique patches having that dimension that you've worked hard getting. So what best way to press your applique, here's my tip. You take a good thick terry cloth, a towel, a hand towel, and you lay it on your pressing surface. We'll pretend this is my pressing surface. And then you put your block upside down on the terry cloth so that the terry cloth absorbs that extra layer. And then I don't use steam in my iron. I like to mist with a spray bottle and distilled water. So what I did is I misted the whole thing, and then I gave it a good pressing, pulling slightly if I felt like it needed to be, like if there was a piece that wasn't pressing. But I have to tell you that it pressed very nicely. It does always on the terry cloth towel. If you have a steam iron and you like to use steam, that'd also be appropriate. So that's how it turned out. I really like it. I hope you do too. And as I said, going forward, I'll have some bonus editions, episodes to talk about other ways to prepare applique patches. But for today, episode 8, this heart wreath is finished. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed making yours, and I hope you'll send me a picture of yours when you have made it. Thanks for watching.